Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the Cricket Happening Show with your host Ram. And on this Cricket Happening Show, I have to say that yesterday I said that West Indies and England are going to be facing in the first one day international of the series of this three match ODI series. And even though I would say England actually won the match, not by a big margin, let me tell you. In fact, I was very happy to see that West Indies, this second string West Indies team, as I said, they lack a lot of big names and they definitely made themselves very proud. Even though England scored 296 for 6, West Indies chased that down in a very, I would say, in a bold manner to make 251. So that itself says that now England knows that even though, as I said yesterday, they were the favourites, I won't be once again saying that anymore because, as I said, yes, England are definitely powerful, no doubt about it, but West Indies definitely gave a good account of their reserve talent that they have as they raised 251 and England only won the match by 45 runs, so which I'll be talking about. And also, while I'm talking to you right now, I can tell you one thing. I can give you a live update from the very important match for both the teams, New Zealand and South Africa. As you know, right now the ODI series between New Zealand and South Africa stands at 2-2, and today the match, the fifth ODI, is underway right now while I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you. There is a wicket that has fallen. So the New Zealand, the Kiwis are really getting into deeper and deeper trouble here. It's a big wicket as Felukawayo has picked up his second wicket with a wonderful spell of bowling here. Look at his bowling figures. 3 overs, 1 maiden, 7 runs and 2 wickets. And now he has picked up the wicket of Ross Taylor for 8. And I can definitely say New Zealand are reeling right now in the 16th over in the 5th one-day international against South Africa at the Eden Park in Auckland. A picturesque ground, nice crowd come in. 51 for 4, New Zealand 16 overs are really struggling. Luke Ronchi, so definitely they are in some big trouble here, New Zealand. 51 for 4 in the 16th over against South Africa. I'll be coming to give you a live cricket update as and when any wickets fall, and then I will also just give you a brief summary as to what really happened at Eden Park in Auckland today. And we are just 2 hours away from the second test match between India and Australia, which will be played at the P. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru. And as you know, Indians are the ones under psychological pressure after unexpectedly losing the first test match to Australia to a spinner, Steve O'Keefe, who took 12 wickets in the match, which was a test match for Steve O'Keefe, the left-arm spinner. And when he's told that India, and Virat Kohli has already said that we will see the result when the series ends. So that itself is a sort of a very bold statement coming from Virat Kohli. And now what is going to be very important is that this particular game, unlike the Pune pitch, which happened to get a lot of turn, I am also told that this pitch will also have some turn, no doubt about it. But Bengaluru could last the full 5 days, so it should be very interesting. But Indians would be under a lot of psychological pressure when they take to the ground at Bengaluru. So India and Australia will be playing their second test match today, and definitely a lot of interest will be in India to see as to how India fares in the second test match, which again I will have a brief look, probably one could say a brief preview if at all time permits. But definitely there will be more detailed talk on the match between West Indies and England. So let's have a look at the beginning of the ODI series that happened today at the Sir Vivian Richard Stadium, North Sound in Antigua. And the toss was actually won by the West Indian captain Jason Holder, and Jason Holder, having knowledge of the conditions, decided to insert the opposition, England, in. And the start for England, I have to say, it was not so good. Shannon Gabriel was absolutely turning it on with his very good pace bowling. He was really getting the ball to really bend in, and he was really bowling with some extreme pace. Shannon Gabriel, as you know, he's a tall, and he also did well against India, as you know. And to me, Shannon Gabriel is definitely developing as one of the prime strike bowlers for the West Indies, because after Kemar Roach has gone, I think Shannon Gabriel is the one who has taken the mantle, and he's doing it perfectly. And Shannon Gabriel was the one who provided the breakthrough as he nipped up the wicket of Jason Roy by getting him LBW for 13 of 22 balls, 2 fours, and then it was Joe Root who came in. But what a beauty of a delivery from Shannon Gabriel to get rid of a very big wicket, Joe Root, as he got the ball to actually swerve in, and Joe Root was a goner. It was a beauty of a delivery which moved off the seam, and Joe Root was in goner, and that was a big wicket, and England were really in trouble there at 29 for 2, with Sam Billings on the other end not looking very convincing, as the England captain Morgan joined him. And then it was a repair job which was done by Sam Billings and Morgan had to definitely go by the need of the hour, and that was to really stick to the crease. Normally Morgan, as you know, as is his wont, he's mainly an aggressive player, but today he had to change his way of playing, as he had to really get himself grounded first and then get in for it, and he did it perfectly, I thought. And Sam Billings was there with him, going in a sedate manner, as Billings contributed 52 of 56 deliveries with 7 boundaries. So after that, Sam Billings was a victim of the bowling of Ashley Nurse, the left-arm spinner, for 52, and after that Josh Butler also fell a victim to the bowling of Nurse for 14 of 19 deliveries, and that once again left England in not a very good position at 129 for 4, the halfway mark. But Morgan was one who was getting well entrenched at the crease, which was a good thing, as Ben Stokes walked in. Ben Stokes walked in, took his time. He didn't have it very easy. The surface was slow, and he was not really being able to time the ball perfectly. But Ben Stokes, what the best thing that Ben Stokes did was he decided to give company to Morgan and allow Morgan to actually play his strokes in a free manner, as this partnership definitely did what England were expecting, as an exactly 100-run partnership happened between Morgan, the England captain, and Ben Stokes. And while Morgan scored, and this happened, and then after that we saw Ben Stokes' wicket was taken by Devendra Basu, but not before Ben Stokes had contributed a very good 50, useful 50, 55, 61 balls, no boundaries, but he hit 3 sixes. And after that, but one did not really see any battle between Carlos Brathwaite and Ben Stokes. Moina, and after that we saw Morgan getting on to his century. I mean, he was the one, after once Ben Stokes won, it was Morgan who took it on himself to really slam the bowlers, as he contributed, and he reached his century. And Morgan, let me tell you that this was the turning point in the game, according to me. In fact, it was I think it was Brathwaite was bowling his first ball of his spell, and Morgan had just come to the crease, and England would have been in deeper trouble. As they were 29 for 2, probably that would have become probably 30 for 3, but Morgan had added only 4 runs. He had just opened his account, he was on 4 runs, as Kieran Powell at first slip. In fact, Morgan wafted at the delivery from Brathwaite outside the off stump, and that particular ball was going absolutely straight as an arrow into the hands of the waiting hands of slip, which was Kieran Powell. But it was Shai Hope who actually intervened as he dived in, and that probably got the concentration out from Kieran Powell's eyes, and Kieran Powell spilled that catch, and that proved to be a big error, or a mistake, I would say, and that resulted in Morgan getting 107. He was run out for 107 of 116 deliveries, 11 fours and 2 sixes, and this century which Morgan made as a captain was his 5th ODI century, and thus he broke the record which was done by the former England captains, the past captains like Andrew Strauss and Alistair Cook, who had made 400s when leading the team in ODIs, and thus the West Indies, thanks to Morgan, England ended up at 296 for 6. Moeen Ali not out 31 of 22 balls, 2 fours, and let's have a look at the bowling now. So definitely I thought let's have a look at the West Indian bowling card. Shannon Gabriel was very impressive. In fact, Morgan not only was dropped, he was also hit on the helmet. As you would remember, Phil Hughes, who passed away in Australia, was also hit on the back of the neck, and this was a sort of a similar scene. Shannon Gabriel was absolutely fire and brimstone. He was bowling at some very lively pace, and one of his short deliveries actually hit Morgan on the back of the head, and then there was a stem guard which was brought on to protect that, and one has to say that Morgan was saved. It took some time for Morgan to regain, but once he came in, but Morgan has to be admired. One has to say that Morgan showed real character in staying there out in the middle to carve out a century. So, well, good job, Morgan. And Shannon Gabriel, 10 overs no more in 258, but still his figures won't reflect it. But nevertheless, he bowled superbly. Jason Holder, 9 overs, 1 minute, none for 46. Brathwaite, 10 overs, 1 minute, none for 54. Ashley Nurse, 10 overs, 257. Devendra Bushu, 6 overs, 1 for 49. And Jason Mohammed, 5 overs, none for 25. Now it was the turn of the West Indian batsmen to take a dig at the England bowlers. And let's see what happened. Well, the West Indies innings they never got off to a good start. They lost. First, it was Chris Woakes who actually dismissed both the openers. He got rid of Craig Brathwaite for 14 of 26 deliveries, 1-4, and even Lewis was forced into a shot from Woakes, a short delivery, trying to pull the delivery. He was gone for 21 of 33 balls, 2 fours. Plunkett plucked up the wicket of Kieron Powell very cheaply for 1, and then we had some contributions coming in from Shai Hope, who made 31 of 38 balls, 2 fours, big victim of Rashid, and the West Indian score at that stage was almost similar to what England were doing, as they were in the halfway stage. They were 108 for 4, and then it was only thanks to Jason Mohammed, who probably got his maiden 50 in his ODI career, and he was partnered by Jonathan Carter, and both chiseled together a partnership of a nice partnership, I would say. 108 for 4. They helped the West Indians actually recover from that state of 108 for 4 to put on 82 runs for the 5th wicket, which came in 14 overs, which was done by Jason Mohammed and Jason Carter. While this was going on, at least one could say that West Indies were keeping the game going, and they still had Jason Holder and Brathwaite in the locker to come. But in the process, what happened was we saw it was Jason Carter's wicket, which was a brilliant catch, which was taken by Jason Roy of the bowling of Plunkett. Jonathan Carter was dismissed for 52 of 47 deliveries, 4 fours and 2 sixes. But Jason Holder, of whom a lot of hope would have been there, as we know, he's a very good contributor, but his wicket was a cheap dismissal. He was caught behind the bowling of Plunkett for 4, and then Brathwaite could contribute only 12 of as many balls with 1-4, and then we saw the run out of Carlos Brathwaite, Jason Mohammed, who was the highest scorer, as Finn showed some good skills in running out Jason Mohammed, but not before Jason Mohammed contributed a very important 72 of 91 deliveries with 7 fours. Ashley Nurse's contribution, he was out for 21, and in the end Bishu not out 12, Gabriel was out for naught, and the West Indies definitely one has to credit them with this particular team, which, as I said, does not have any big names at all. I thought they did a wonderful job, and West Indies keep it up. They were all out for 251, and thus England winning the match by 45 runs, and also West Indies showing that England can't take the West Indies lightly in this ODI series, with the second ODI coming up. It's a 3-match series. The bowling is concerned, Stephen Finn 9 overs, none 49. Vokes picked up 4 for 47 of his 9 overs. Joe Root 5 overs for 31. Plunkett was also very impressive, 8.2 overs, 140 runs and 4 wickets. Moeen Ali 7 overs for 37. Adil Rashid 1 for 43. And Morgan, if at all he would have been caught by Kieron Paul, one does not know what would have been the outcome. But nevertheless, Morgan was named man of the match for a very good, by his standards, it was a slow century by Morgan, as he really held the innings together, and I would say played a match-winning knock there. So that is as far as the first ODI is concerned. Now let's have a look at the live cricket update here, which is coming in from New Zealand, and I do see that the score right now, as I'm talking to you, we are in the 19th over here at Eden Park in Auckland, and as I said, South Africa won the toss, and in a match which is important for both the teams, because whichever team wins takes the ODI series. New Zealand were struggling, but they are slowly, I wouldn't say they're recovering, but they are slowly trying their best, as the score has currently reached 64 for 4 in the 19th over. It's a real repair job which is being done now by James Neesham and Lew Cronky after the early damage was done by the South African bowlers. I'll come back to that. Meanwhile, just talking about India versus Australia, the match which is coming up probably 1.5 hours from now, according to what I am here right now. And as I said, this match is going to be very important for India. The cricketing public will be looking forward to a better performance from India after they were rolled out for 107 in both the innings. They were rolled out for a very cheap 100 and odd runs. But for India, well, the team seems to be the same. There's not going to be any changes. Australia have already retained the winning combination as they normally do, and it's going to be very interesting. So it's also expected that Mitchell Marsh, whose bowling services were not really needed in Pune, would be also one who would also be getting a very good share of his bowling here against the Indians. And as I said, all that I can say is that this pitch happens to be going the whole hog. It is going to last for 5 days, and one really looks forward to this particular second test. As I said, Indians are the ones under psychological pressure, and I can say one thing for sure, that Steve O'Keefe, there's definitely going to be turn in this pitch as well, but what would be important is, if at all the pitch does not, probably it's not going to turn as much as what happened in Pune expectedly, but if that's going to happen, one has to see whether what Steve O'Keefe did in the first test was only a real blip, or was it really something which is going to happen time and again. And that would be interesting to see as to how Steve O'Keefe goes, if at all the pitch is not going to help in the manner that it helped in Pune. But again, there are no excuses for what India did in the first test match, because it's very simple. If the Australian players could do it, why not the Indians? So definitely there's a lot of things lying in store. So just going back to the live cricket update, as I'm talking to you, there's one more wicket gone for the Kiwis. Now this is really turning into I can say the ODI at Eden Park in Auckland is really going the South African way, as New Zealand have lost their one more wicket. Lew Cronky has just been dismissed, and Chris Morris is the one who has come back into his second spell, and he has picked up the wicket of Lew Cronky by getting him caught behind by Quinton de Kock. He was gone for 8, and New Zealand are in deep, I would say, in dire straits right now in the 5th One Day International here at Eden Park in Auckland, and they are currently plays with 72 for 5 in the 20th over. Nisham is not out on 14 or 15 balls with 3 fours, and really requires a lot of, I would say, a lot of effort now required, if at all, New Zealand really needs to make a match of it. They still have some batting to come, no doubt, but looking at the scorecard, I have to say, today the South African bowlers have been bowling brilliantly. Look at the bowling from the South Africans. Rabada, 5 overs, 1 for 17, really turned it on. Morris bowled a wonderful spell too initially, 5.2 overs to make 1 for 27. Imran Tahir has done his job. He has bowled 4 overs for 4 runs. Felix Cavallo has come back into the team in the place of Parnell, has made his presence felt by bowling some very good full-length deliveries. 4 overs were made in 14 runs and 2 wickets. Pretorius has bowled 1 over in which he has been a bit costly. He's gone for 9. And the wicket takers, Martin Guptill was bowled by Rabada for 4. And absolutely a searing Yorker as Guptill left his crease to have a hoik at Rabada. He was gone for 4. Brownlee was out to a good length ball. He played all around a good length delivery from Felix Cavallo for 24 of 37 balls, 3 fours. Williamson was involved in a run out, not reach the striker's end as A.B. de Villiers picked the ball, actually fumbled with it, but still managed to run out Williamson with his reflexes. He was gone for 9, and Ross Taylor, as I said, Felix Cavallo, now Rocky has gone, and New Zealand, as I said, are in dire straits right now, 72 for 5, and they really have to really put up a great fight if they need to really get this final ODI international. So, well, dear fans and subscribers, on this note, it's about time for me to wind up this cricket show by bidding you all a good night, but promising you that tomorrow I'll be back with the first day's play between Australia and India at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore, and also a full match summary on the 5th ODI, which is currently happening between New Zealand and South Africa at Eden Park in Auckland. With this, it's your host Ram bidding good night.